YouTube, hello. Those of you that have been following along as these come out, I do apologize for the delay. Those of you that are binging, what up? Good to see you instantaneously after part 20. Regardless, so glad to have you here as always. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and these playthroughs. Leave a like, you know the drill. Leave a comment throughout if you have something you want to say to me. And make sure you come hang out with us on Twitch. Follow all the links in the description, all that fun stuff. It's great to have you all here. I've appreciated all of your commentary as I have played through this. I've been enjoying it immensely, and we've got some shit to figure out tonight. So without further ado, this is going to be probably a little bit shorter of an episode than we usually do, but we're going to learn more about what's going on with Branca, because this stuff in part 20 was wild. So here we go. Can I talk to Ogren? I want to see what he has to say about all this.
Good old Branca. She's a bit, abrasive, isn't she? Guess I forgot that part about her screeching in my ear every sodding day. Oh well. We'll help her get the anvil, and then she'll come home, and everything will be better.
Yes, I'm sure that's how that's gonna go. The anvil. Yes, once we find that, everything will be as it was ahead of time, I'm sure, because you know you're not gonna remember all the shit that went down in the last 5 years. Oh, good, more darkspawn. Sean, I do not have any suggestions because I basically feel like I'm really lucky that this runs as well as it does. I would post in the Dragon Age chat on Discord if people have ideas, because folks know a lot about how to make this run more stable. But I am not one of them. Grab all the money we can. Loyal Ren, thank you very much for the 8 months. I appreciate that immensely. Oh, dude, we got some fallen golems in here. Shale, what do you think? Yeah. Yeah. Me too, friend. You can always count on Shale for a good. And so Branca threw golems at this too, it seems. Oh. Well, I don't know about y'all, but generally green means good. But in video games, green means bad. Let's see what kind of bad thing's gonna happen when I walk in here. I can't imagine it's gonna be a... If I saw this in real life, my ass is turning around and saying to Branca, you know what? Good luck finding your anvil. I got this is okay, friends. This as we stare at the green door of doom, filled with the green mist of doom, I would like to take a moment to talk about the sunk cost fallacy and the way in which that can intersect with social niceties, so to speak. People have a tendency to blow past their boundaries the longer they have committed to something, whether it is something that you understand or don't understand. In this case, we've come all the way down into the deep roads. We've invested an immense amount of time in getting here. We want the dwarves to help fight against the blight. We found Branca. We've done so many things, and Branca puts us on this journey. We walk up to this door, and we are presented with a psychological concept that affects so many of us. If this green door existed up front, the second we walked into Orzammar, there is no way in hell we would entertain the idea of walking through this. But because we have committed so much time and energy to this, that's the sunk cost here. When we arrive at this door, we are more likely to go, all right, I'll take the chance. We are more likely to blow past a boundary that we might not otherwise have been willing to blow past. And we would also do it, I'm sure many people watching this would do it also because they don't want to deal with the awkwardness of walking back out of this tunnel and going to Branca and saying, I ain't doing it. There are people that would legitimately put themselves at risk here to avoid social awkwardness. I am here to tell you that that awkwardness is worth fighting through. You need to connect with your boundaries. You need to connect with your values and recognize that you are up against a sunk cost fallacy, and that does not mean you have to continue. At any point down the line of a series of choices, you are able to choose to stop doing what you're doing, and that means to do something else. We could turn around here, and that is what we should do. Because I'm playing a video game, I'm going to walk into the green mist and see what happens. But in real life, know your limitations, know your boundaries, and act on them. Nobody else is going to set your boundaries and act on your boundaries for you. You have to do it yourself. And sunk cost and lack of social awareness or acumen is more likely to make you push past your boundaries. You don't need to do that. Be mindful of it. Bet you didn't think the green door was going to get us a mental health clip. That's what we do here. All right, let's see what happens. Do not ever blow past your boundaries in the name of being polite. Okay. Don't just stand around. Let's go. Oh, God. We got to fight golems while we get poisoned. This is awesome. Okay. All ass, friends. Oh, God. Oh, God. This is not good. Drink. You. Okay. Okay. I wonder what this must be like for Shale. You can really see how much was whittled off of Shale in watching this, like in seeing the comparison. Oh man, Liliana, you are killing me here. I'm gonna let Ogren die here. Let's go. Woo! Let's get out of here. All right. All right, let's get that health and stamina back, friends. Do I go back in for the loot? Heal yourself up, buddy. We're gonna go very fast, because there are good things on these golems. Gas valve. You close the valve. Is there another one over here? Oh, let's go. Oh. Sweet relief. Okay. Now, was this worth it to do? I suppose maybe it was. Now Branca can follow us, I guess. Alright. Whatever, it bought us some time for old Ogren to get his health back. Alright. Trial number 2. Man, she really just threw dudes at this, huh? Alright, blade trap. Why don't we go ahead and shut that down?
Right ahead.
Beauty. Oh God! You go ahead and disarm that trap. We'll fight the golems. Oh, Oh, she just got messed up. Drink the poultice. Alright, we lost Liliana. Dude, these guys are strong. Holy hell. Alright, let's give you the old injury kit. Because I'm on top of that now. This is terrifying, man. I don't want to fight these golems. I just want to... just want to turn these traps off. That's all. God damn it. Dude, these things do not mess around. Look at this. Holy crap. Kind of interesting to me that the thing that makes more golems has been set to be guarded by millions of golems. Yeah. Somebody doesn't want us to get past this. We're just blowing through boundaries today. Oh, come on, Shale. Come on, Shale. Oh my god. At least we're getting poultices back, I guess. I'm gonna leave them injured for a little bit. It's just one injury each. We got through here. I don't think these lyrium veins are gonna do anything for me. Right? Yeah. Doesn't do anything. Alright, in we go. Really? Branca's been throwing shit at this for 5 years. For 5 years. And we just did this in 10 minutes? You just need the right people, huh? It's literally just an anvil. Maybe, you know, maybe Branca could have just, you know, maybe like asked for help from people who are competent. I don't know if this is the anvil. If this is the anvil, holy cow. Just chilling right here. Oh, ooh, spooky. Oh shit. All right, so you gotta fight ghosts. What is this? Whoa! Oh, this is like a legit like boss battle right now. Oh, so I gotta wait till it... Oh, I gotta like kill these guys over by these... All right, come over here. This is cool. Okay. So now we gotta kill dudes so that basically they die, they light up the anvil, and then we can use that anvil to damage the shit out of this. Come on, come on. Die, 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 die. Die. Alright, that should be all 4. Now we just gotta... Yeah. What? Very confused right now. I gotta do it twice. Shale is like messed up. Oh. Okay. Fascinating. Shale, come help me. Okay. Let me just wait till it rotates. Actually, no, we could kill this one because even if it rotates, then... Shale, what are you doing? What are you doing? It would be kind of interesting if like this thing actually had a control rod, and if you have Shale with you, you like can't do anything because Shale gets like controlled by the thing. Like that would be very interesting to me. Okay. Just hang out for a minute. Okay. Perfection. All right, come over here, Shale. Attack, please. Thank you. Yeah. And the door opens. Cool. How's everybody doing? How are the injuries looking? We okay? Okay. All right. Well, that was kind of neat. All right, so that's not the anvil then. That makes me feel better. Because that would have really been... I mean, I guess that would have been kind of interesting. Like, I could see how people would get wiped out by that boss battle. But I feel a little bit better about it. Alright, how many of you are gonna mess with... Okay.
My name is Caridin. Once, longer ago than I care to think, I was a paragon to the dwarves of Orzammar.
Caridin, the Paragon Smith, alive?
Ah, there is a voice I recognize. Shale of the House of Kadash, step forward.
You know my name. Is it you that forged me then? Is it you that gave me my name?
Have you forgotten then? It has been so long. I made you into the golem you are now, Shale. But before that you were a dwarf, just as I was.
Whoa!
The finest warrior to serve King Valtor, and the only woman to volunteer.
The only woman? A dwarf?
I laid you on the anvil of the void, here in this very room, and put you into the form you now possess.
The anvil of the void. That is what we seek.
If you seek the anvil, then you must care about my story, or be doomed to relive it.
Ho! What? Cue the Eric Wareheim meme. Whoa. Right? It's like dwarven blood magic. That's nuts. Oh my god. All right, cool. We'll turn you into a golem, and then you become all big and fierce. And I mean, you could totally understand though why they would maybe do it. It is return to the stone, literally. So Shale was a dwarf, and she volunteered, I guess. And you become the stone and become a golem, which means that you basically become like the darkspawn ogre. And you're just like, wow, man. Holy shit. I'm so glad we brought Shale with us. So Branca, I wonder why Branca wants the anvil. I wonder if Branca actually knows what the deal is here. Okay, so if I was to really talk through this for a second in terms of like, okay, so what does this mean for, you know, the psychology of this moment? We have just been presented with mind-blowing information. I mean, mind-blowing information. And that is going to scramble us. That is like, we have to put so many things together in such a short period of time, because in real life we don't have the benefit of standing here awkwardly in front of this guy and processing this. So the best thing that we can do is recognize that we are now in a one down position. Getting that information absolutely establishes a hierarchy here, because we have been thrown completely off kilter. Information is power. We don't know how true all of this is, although I don't have any reason to believe that it's false. So we now just have to recognize, okay, this person has power in this situation. I've been presented with information that's going to make my brain whir at 10,000 miles an hour. I got to reel it in here, and I got to focus on the moment. I got to focus on this specific instance and how I'm going to engage with this thing, what information I'm going to try to gather, and I'm going to remember the reason I'm here in the first place. You got to walk it back. You really got to have some presence of mind here to recognize the way that all of that information just explodes your brain. I mean, my first reaction when we just got that was to go, what? Instead of staying calm and being like, all right, yep, that's big info, but we got to stay on task here. So it's really a lesson to us all. You can control a situation by dropping information at the right time, because it will completely throw people off and they have to process a lot and it's overload. when there's already a lot of ambiguity around all of this, right? Like, we don't really know why the anvil matters, and we just got a lot of info here. So notice that you're thrown off, recognize the change in power dynamic, walk yourself back, stay present in what it is that you're trying to focus on the things that you can control, and work through the engagement and respond accordingly. Okay. You made the anvil, I take it?
Though I made many things in my time, I rose to fame and earned my status based on a single item, the Anvil of the Void. It allowed me to forge a man of steel or stone as flexible and clever as any soldier. As an army, they were invincible, but I told no one the cost. No mere smith, however skilled, has the power to create life. To make my golems live, I had to take their lives from elsewhere.
Had to is the key phrase there. I had to take their lives from elsewhere. No, you didn't. Maybe you had to in the sense that that's how you make this work, but you did not have to make that decision. Now, I'm not here to be the morality police, but this is a real moment for all of us to consider the way in which we use language to defer the accountability for decisions that we make. This guy did not have to do anything. And conceptualizing it as such is a way to separate himself from the accountability of that decision. When you tell yourself that you had to do something, then it takes the choice out of it, right? I was forced to do it. There are some circumstances in which you probably were forced, right? If he had somebody in a position of power holding a gun to his head, he still has a choice, but that choice has now been skewed significantly by the power dynamic that's present. But if this guy walked into this and did this voluntarily, these are choices that he's accountable for. He didn't have to do anything. If he learned that that's what he needed to do in order to create a golem, he could have scrapped it at that point and said, nope, burn it all. But that's what brings us back to the cost sunk that we were talking about as we walked in here. He probably devoted so much time to this, so much energy, that he pushed into a moral sticky situation that he might not have otherwise gone into. If somebody told him he had to sacrifice dwarven lives in order to make this happen, and that he wouldn't be able to do it for years because he needed to pursue how to do this, maybe he doesn't pursue it in the first place. But when you get to the end and you need that final little ingredient in order to make your thing happen that you've spent your entire life doing, this is when people start to make decisions that wear against the moral fabric of what many of us accustom ourselves to and believe we should be driven by. This is how it happens, friends. Wow. Now, that said, it's hard for me to walk into this moment and just immediately cast judgment, right? Like, we... And I'm sure that there are people that have been watching this series that are mad at me for how I've treated the blood mages, and in a lot of ways this is exactly the same. I don't know what the circumstances were of the time when he was making these decisions. So I'm better off trying to gather information here rather than just immediately go to judgment and piss on him. At the same time, like, we can look at this as being reprehensible. It's just, this is wild. This is a lot to process at once. Now, if I say sounds like blood magic a dangerous road, I run the risk of missing the mark here. That might be the analogy that I'm using to make sense of this, but this a dangerous road is me basically stating the obvious, and I don't think adds a lot to this situation. I learn a lot more about him by saying something like a dire shortcut and asking if it was worth it. It does cast a little bit of judgment, but it gets me more information because I'm asking a question rather than leaving this to a statement. So we're going to ask the question, was it worth it? It's a dire shortcut, man. Was it worth it?
So said my king. I had only intended to use volunteers, but he was not satisfied, and soon a river of blood flowed out of this place. Finally, it was too much. I refused, and so Valtor had me put on the anvil next.
Oh, man. This is what I was talking about with the power dynamics. That's terrible. Now we know potentially why we were sending people in droves to the deep roads in addition to fighting Darkspawn. Boy, and think of the ways this is goddamn BioWare. Holy shit. Think of every little dwarven idiom that we've heard up until this point, right? Dwarves have been conditioned to believe that returning to the stone is the greatest thing. It's the afterlife of your dreams. So I can only imagine the way that people in positions of power propagandized this. Whether they did it by force, that's certainly one way to do it, but you could essentially get dwarves to walk themselves into this fate. Or to, at the very least, let it go because you have this perspective of like, oh, cool, you're stone now. That's pretty badass. You don't have to die to be in the stone. You get to live to be in the stone. Or you don't tell people what this is. You just say, oh, yeah, this guy can forge golems on this anvil. And you hush him so that everybody thinks golems aren't dwarves. There's a million ways that people in positions of power here could make this work so that people in the lower castes have no idea how this actually works. It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. This is why when you control the information, you control the masses. And this guy then hit his moral limitation, and the king says, nah, buddy. You're going to the same fate. Wow. So I'm going to ask again, what now? Do you want revenge?
Not revenge. The blow of the hammer opened my eyes. My apprentices knew enough to make me as I am, but not enough to fashion a control rod. I retained my mind. You were amongst the most loyal, Shale. You remained at my side throughout, and at the end, I sent you away out of mercy.
I do not remember.
We have remained entombed here ever since, and I have sought a way to destroy the anvil. Alas, I cannot do it myself. No golem can touch it.
No! The anvil is mine! No one will take it from me!
Shale, you fought to destroy the anvil once. Do not allow it to fall into unthinking hands again!
You speak of things I do not remember. You say we fought. Did you use our control rods to command us to do so?
I destroyed the rods. Perhaps my apprentices eventually learned to replace the rods. I do not know. But if so, then all they need is the anvil to make all the slaves they need. You, please, help me destroy the anvil. Do not let it enslave more souls than it already has.
Wow. So I appreciate Shale's questions, and I really hope that someday she gets them answered. But I can't care about that right now. I just can't. This is way too dire. The thing that strikes me is that this guy's emotional intensity went up here particularly when Branca ran in here. There is an urgency in this guy's voice. There is an intensity to him that is driven in a direction of atonement and recognition of what it is that's going on here. Do I know him to be truthful? No, we just met. But the juxtaposition of his conviction against Branca, whom I have had a chance to get to know maybe a little bit more, is pretty striking. Branca has already shown a willingness to sacrifice the masses without informing them about what's going on in order to achieve power of the anvil, which tells me that there's a real good chance that Branca is not going to hesitate to send people into the anvil again in the same way that this guy has just described. So his terror around the idea of another paragon getting a hold of the anvil holds weight for me. And I am very much inclined to assist him in destroying this thing. I have no idea why Branca wants this, but holy shit. All right, so now I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna play politics like a fucking jackass. This shouldn't be this. I hate every single one of these options. You were a paragon. I'll help you if you support the new king. Jesus Christ. I needed to bargain with Branca. I won't make golems. Why should I let your guilt inconvenience me? Every single one of those options is terrible. Thing I'm saying is, tell me how to destroy it. Tell me how to destroy it. Will it destroy you if I destroy it? And then we got some shit we got to figure out. But tell me how to destroy it. I'm making the choice. Right? So I'll help you if you support a new king. Now, what I like about that is I'm not saying if you support Bhelen, right? So if you can help me out, you hook me up, you shit all over whatever Branca has to say, hell yeah, brother. I'm destroying that anvil for you. You were a paragon. I'll help you if you support a new king.
Don't listen. He's been trapped here for 1,000 years, stewing in his own madness. Help me claim the anvil, and you will have an army like you've never seen.
Branca, you mad, bleeding nugtail. Does this thing mean so much to you that you can't even see what you've lost to get it?
Look around. Is this what our empire should look like? A crumbling tunnel filled with dark spawn spume? The anvil will let us take back our glory.
By turning them into stone darkspawn. I really am surprised that she is this strongly convinced on this. Like, that's kind of surprising to me, to an extent where I could almost look at her saying that he's gone mad down here as projection. Like, literally, she's gone mad down here and is assuming that this thing must have, and she hasn't even been down here nearly as long. Cool. Let's just involuntarily make the dwarves golems so that we can fight the darkspawn and just throw them at that enemy and do what has been legislated out via blood mages. And this is literally what the darkspawn do. They don't kill you, they turn you into darkspawn. Like, what the hell are we doing? And also, what happens when the control rods are in the wrong hands? Like, that's the other piece of this. We're not even talking about people getting turned into golems and then being autonomous. We're talking about people getting turned into golems and then being at the behest of control rods that are being used by the nobles. So it's not even like you have freedom when you become a golem. Now, to move in the direction of empathy, as we always do in these moments, or as I try to as often as I can, why would Branca take that position? If we have to really dig in here and think about it. I would guess that Branca feels an immense amount of pressure as a paragon. Immense pressure. Because as far as anybody knows, she's the only one that's alive right now. So Branca has likely taken it upon herself to have to be the one that leads the charge and helps save this. Even more so than the king. So if Branca has at her potential disposal an item that is going to allow her to create an army that has a sheer amount of force and could potentially reestablish some form of normalcy and save Orzammar, she's likely going to take it out of her own sense of needing to be useful. And this is why decisions like this should in some ways be made by committee when there's not a huge sense of urgency, because she's got too much of an investment of her own prerogative in this, where we can more objectively look at this and be like, no, we're not gonna involuntarily enslave dwarves to golems so that they can fight in your army. This is essentially like the dwarven draft. We're not gonna do that. I realize that you're desperate, Branca, but there are other ways to do this. In some ways, it's through diplomacy, getting the right person into the position of power, maybe revisiting the caste system, getting a joint sense of community here amongst the dwarves, and a joint sense of fear of the blight so that we can go attack it. But we already know that the dwarves are more concerned about the blight when it's not happening because the darkspawn are underground, right? There's a lot going on here. But Branca, I'm sure, feels an immense sense of pressure by virtue of being a paragon in this position. And to destroy this anvil is to destroy all the time that she's sunk into this, and is to destroy the one thing that she has loaded her usefulness into. Branca could be useful in so many other ways, but she's cost sunk into the anvil. I'm gonna have to be the one that makes the decision here, I'm sure, and if I have to break that cost sunk on her behalf, I'm gonna do it. The anvil enslaves living souls. It's got to be destroyed.
So it fights with Caridin? Good. That seems right.
Thank you, stranger. Your compassion shames me.
No, you will not take it. Not while I still live.
Branca, don't throw your life away for this.
She already kind of has. We have to destroy the anvil, Branca. We don't have to, but we're choosing to. There's power in saying we choose to destroy the anvil instead of we have to destroy the anvil. Sure, in some sort of like, you know, moral compassy sense, yeah, we got to destroy it. But the reality is we're choosing to destroy it. Seize that power. Branca will go through a grief process. Branca's going to struggle with this. She's going to hate it. Maybe she's going to get loud. I am not about to enslave hundreds and thousands of dwarves because I didn't want Branca to be uncomfortable. But what's kind of amazing about this is there are folks out there that would, because the immediacy of this moment is intense. And it is easy to lose the big picture when the immediate moment is intense. There are legitimately people that would look at Branca's plight and say, okay, I don't want to deal with this, so maybe we will let it go. And you don't want to do that. Okay? That happens in smaller moments on the day-to-day. We're not all looking at an anvil that's going to enslave dwarves. But we're going to destroy this, Branca, and you're going to go through a grief process. You're going to feel like you lost a lot of time and a lot of effort, and that makes sense. And if you want to be pissed at me, I can handle that. I can deal with you being pissed at me. There's absolutely no way I'm gonna allow this to happen. Not if we're putting the choice in my hands. No way. We have to destroy the anvil, Branca.
Just give her the blasted thing. She's confused. Maybe once she calms down, we can talk to her.
This is why I didn't want Oghren on this. This right here is exactly why I didn't want Oghren. Oghren is torn between two worlds here. He's torn between the idea that ideologically he probably agrees with us, but emotionally he is still invested in Branca because he invested himself in her. He has empathy for her. He understands where she's coming from. His ability to connect with her emotionally is a wonderful thing, but right now it's a massive liability. Because what he is doing, if I'm not a strong leader here, what he's doing is sowing seeds of doubt. Not maliciously, but certainly inadvertently. He's trying to play both sides here, and we don't have both sides to play. Good leadership means you take a stand at certain points. It doesn't mean that you're always diplomatic, Mr. Neutral Guy. So this is exactly why I did not want Oghren on this journey. Because he is constrained by his emotional connection to Branca. I'm not saying he's got to cut that emotional tie. What I'm saying is that it's a liability when we have to make big decisions like this. So I'm not going to take a lot of what he says into consideration. I'm going to listen to it, but he's not driving the bus here. And I sure hope he doesn't sacrifice himself here because of his allegiance to Branca. It's not a risk I'm willing to take, buddy. Sorry.
Bah! You're not the only master smith here, Caridin. Golems, obey me! Attack!
A control rod! My friend! You must help me! I cannot stop her alone!
Oh, Jesus. You like that? You like that quick little turnaround there? You like how my character's just like, wow. Oh, this is gonna be rough. Holy shit. We've got good golems and bad golems. Oh my god. Oh. Oh. Okay, I gotta focus. No, we gotta take the golems out and then we'll focus Branca. Golems first, focus Branca second. We lost Oghren. That's fine. Dude. Oh, this is gonna be rough. I don't know that I have enough poultices to survive this. I am getting messed up. Drink? Oh no. Alright, well, we'll try again. Yeah. Okay. Alright, again. If I kill, actually, I wonder if I kill Branca, I wonder if that just ends the control rods. We're gonna let the golems fight each other.
You don't know what.
Oh, all the good golems died? Okay. Oh my god. Alright, we lost Liliana again. Oh man, this fight is gonna be just... Why are there two Brancas? What the fuck? Why are there three Brancas? Why are there four Brancas? Why is there a ghost Branca? What is happening? Whoa!
The anvil will be mine!
have no idea what's happening right now. This is insane. The most ridiculous. Drink the pult. Okay, all right. Again. Don't spoil stuff, chat. It will make me very angry.
Stop right there. You're a troublemaker, aren't you?
Ogren is just so worthless.
I am a paragon. I cannot be defeated.
So outrageous. You gotta take out the ads. You got no chance if you don't take out the ads. There we go. All right. Focus Branca now. Get your ass kicked by Branca. Get up and drink. Get up and drink. Thank you. Oh, she uses the lyrium veins too? Well, in that case, you can kiss my ass, Branca. I'm not gonna let you use them. Yeah, that sweet, sweet lyrium. Oh, yeah. Oh. No, no, no.
You don't know what.
God. What are we doing here? This is just nutty.
You don't know what.
I'm about to use all this lyrium so that you can't. Because I'm a petty little bitch. Holy hell. Branca's shield, that'll be good for somebody. Wow. That's on easy, chat. I'm playing this game on easy. I can't even fathom playing this on not easy. Good lord.
Another life lost because of my invention. I wish no mention of it had made it into history.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Stupid woman. Always knew the anvil would kill her.
How is it that the woman was not able to disable me as she did you, Caridin?
I do not know. Have you been altered?
I once had a pathetic little mage of a master. He did something to me, experimented on me, and then I killed him, and it rendered me paralyzed.
Perhaps he was bringing forth old memories, and caused you to remember the time when you fought at my side. The paralysis you speak of always resulted when the Master perished. As for your free will, you were always a strong woman, Shell. I am pleased to see you remain such.
I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Do not thank me. All of this is my doing, my legacy. But at least it ends here. I thank you for standing with me, stranger. The anvil waits there for you to shatter it. Is there any boon I can grant you for your aid? A final favor before I am freed from my burden?
Well, that's very generous of you. Thank you. I also like that this guy's willing to take accountability. It's cool. Like, there is real value to taking accountability for your actions. Even if it's a bit late, you always can make the decision to do that. And this guy is willing to do that. It's vulnerable to take accountability. It's vulnerable to put yourself on the line and say, yeah, this happened because of things that I did. And a lot of people avoid taking accountability because they're worried that if they do, they will be cast out. That people will not be reasonable, and that to own up to your actions means you're acknowledging fault. And if you acknowledge fault, people are holding you up to a ridiculous standard. And there's two things that I think are worth saying about that. First of all, you should never hold people to a standard of perfection. You can certainly have high standards, but perfection is too high. And also, anybody who is willing to cast you aside because you take accountability for your actions is not a person that you should be spending your time with in the first place. There is real value to owning up to one's actions, to acknowledging the impact. In some ways, it is more important to acknowledge the impact of your actions rather than focusing on your intentions. Your intentions can be acknowledged after you acknowledge the impact. Right? This guy might have been well-intentioned when he first started, but this caused real harm and death to many, many, many dwarves. And he is willing to accept that that is the case and own up to it. And that, I think, is actually, in the long run, makes this guy better than had he just doubled down, dug his heels in, and tried to find any kind of justification for his actions in hindsight. Take accountability, surround yourself by people who take accountability, and recognize that if you are held accountable for something, if something is brought to your attention, it doesn't mean that you're going to be cast out of the group. It's just a chance to sort of acknowledge it and be curious about what it is that is being brought to your attention. So yeah, Caridin is Caridin's cool. I'm into it. And you do got to follow through on taking accountability, by the way. Just saying that you own up to it and then not changing your actions isn't taking accountability. I mean the full shebang here. You take accountability, and then you make a decision about how to alter your actions going forward as a result of the fact that you learned something. That's real accountability. Is there any boon I can grant for you? I need a Paragon support to settle an election. It's the entire reason I came down here.
For the aid you've given me, I shall put hammer to steel one last time, and give you a crown for the king of your choice.
That's cool. Crown is cool.
There, it is done. Give it to whom you will. I do not wish to hear their names, nor anything more of them. I have already lived far beyond my time. I have no place here.
Oh, I love that. I love that. What a cool boundary. I gave you the crown. You do what you want with it. I don't need any more information. I love that. That is staying in your lane, knowing your place, recognizing your needs in the moment, and it is the absolute cherry on top of the way that he has taken accountability for all of this. That is the level of mental fortitude and presence of mind to acknowledge the limitations of his role here and to say, I gave you the crown. I trust that you know more about this than I do. You go do your thing. I don't need to know any more about it. I could if I wanted to, but I'm ready to be done with this shit. Bravo, man. Bravo. Freaking awesome. I will destroy the anvil, as agreed. Oh.
You have my eternal thanks, stranger. A trust and I'll turn sharp. May you always find your way in the dark.
Wow. I don't know about you, but I love the idea of going out on my own terms. I'm not necessarily talking about, like, this is not an endorsement of suicide. I want to be very clear about that, but the overwhelming majority of humans don't get to go out on their own terms. Dwarves, whatever you may be. In some ways, that's what makes death so scary for so many of us, is because we don't know how it's going to happen. We all know we're going to die, but we don't know how it's going to happen. Many a hypothetical icebreakers and party conversations have centered around, what would you do if you knew how you were going to die, and would you want to know? And that's not the question I'm proposing here. but he got to make a decision on how to go out. He atoned for his actions, he took accountability, and he said, I'm out. He made his peace with the limitation of his lifespan, and he dove headfirst into the lava, which I am assuming killed him instantly. And it's really, I think of all the moments that have happened in this game so far, this to me is one of the most beautiful moments that's happened. It is truly an example of how to take accountability for your actions. I'm not saying kill yourself after you take accountability for your actions. But there is, I think, real value in the idea of what would it be like for us to go out on our own terms. To decide how it ends. And who am I to tell him, don't jump off that cliff? He made good on his end of the deal. I made good on mine. He says, you know what? I'm good. It's my time. See you later. Take the crown. I think that's cool. Now, there is a difference between making that decision under duress and as an act of avoidance or coping, than truly reaching the end of the line and making that decision in as informed of a way as you can. It's a very important distinction that I want to make here. And it's why I'm saying that I am not sitting here endorsing like suicide as it is conventionally represented. For many, the reason that they end their lives on their own terms is because there is an immense sense of hopelessness and helplessness. It is seen as the only way out of an absolute jam. And for some, suicide is a calculated and thought through decision, and is one that if you could potentially interview that person after they died would say that they're glad they made the decision. For others, they make that decision not impulsively. Suicide is very rarely impulsive, but in response to something that is not, I've made peace with my lifespan and I'm going out on my own terms. And there's a very real distinction to that, which is why if you are a person watching this and you are ever considering suicide, if you know somebody who is struggling with suicidal ideation, it is why things like the National Suicide Prevention Hotline exist. You can call 988 and talk to somebody who's trained to talk with you. It is why therapists exist, because there are potentially other means of learning to manage the situation that you're in that don't involve ending your own life. At the same time, if you've reached the end of the line, you know, whether it's old age or otherwise, chronic pain, whatever it may be, I think there are real conversations to be had about people deciding to go out on their own terms. We do it for animals. We send pets out. We say, oh, that pet's suffering, or oh, our pets hit the end of the line. Let's go ahead and put them down, and we don't really think twice about it. Humans, we change. So Caridin here is an example of going out on your own terms in a well thought out way after a lot of time and consideration. This was not an act of impulse to avoid some sort of deeper anxiety. It's just an important conversation to have. And this was a great opportunity to have it. And if anybody around you is struggling and you have it within you to listen to them, that's all you need to do is just listen. But I'm going to use this just as a chance to just say I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much for taking the time for these playthroughs, to listen through these discussions, to, you know, open yourselves up to the analysis that I provide on what happens. Again, I am not claiming to be right about all of the things that I discuss here. It is just my perspective as somebody who has worked in the field at this point in time that I'm making this video for 10 years, and who has lots of anecdotal and professional experience to share, and theories to go and dive into. But I appreciate all of your support around this. I don't want to just bypass the heaviness of this moment, right? We literally just witnessed this guy end his own life. That's a powerful thing to witness. It can be scary to witness something like that. And if this is something that you got uneasy about watching him do that, that's valid. If you watch this like me and you're like, damn, that's like some really well thought out, maybe not the right word, but inspiring shit, that's cool too, right? Like, I'm not suggesting we all just have to be cool with this and celebrate it, but it is a very interesting way that suicide, because that's what that was, is represented. Like, I appreciate that BioWare was willing to add a layer of complexity to this. So, can suicide ever be an accident, or does it have to be planned? No, I mean, people accidentally end their life more often than I wish would happen. Suicide doesn't have to, I mean, but when we talk about suicide in the conventional sense, like outside of being the realm of an accident, it is rare that people kill themselves, like, and they didn't mean to do it. It's why, like, the more well thought out a plan, the more dangerous it is. The last thing I'll say about this is that if you want to hear my thoughts more in depth on suicide, I have a video on YouTube called Conversation About Suicide. It's about 45 minutes long, if I remember correctly. It's in my playlist here on YouTube. I certainly encourage you to check out that video if you want to learn a little bit more about my perspective as somebody who has worked as a professional for 10 years and has also worked on the suicide prevention hotline for 3 years when I was an undergrad in college. So feel free to check that video out. Alright, well, we have a crown now, so we get to go back to Orzammar and decide what we want to do with it. And that is a large weight. There's a million reasons why that can happen,
Well, that pretty
Capra.
much beat the sod out of how I imagined it. You ready to head back yet and share the news?
Oh boy. Okay. To the assembly, they need to know as soon as possible. Let's go while a new king can still be of use to me. That feels a bit calloused. So let's go to the assembly.
Yeah, those Deshirs have been trying to destroy the city for years. Haven't managed yet.
Oh my goodness. Backtrack through the deep roads.
Lords of the Assembly, I call for order. This argument gets us nowhere.
Then why these delaying tactics? I call for a vote right now. My father has one living child to assume the Idukan throne. Who would deny him that?
Your father made me swear on his deathbed you would not succeed him.
I apologize for the interruption, Lord Steward, but the Grey Warden has returned.
Well, Warden, what news do you bring?
Ooh. This is interesting. I bear a crown from Paragon Caridin for his chosen king. I bring a crown forged by Caridin on the anvil of the void. There's a very significant difference there. One of them is me saying that Caridin chose. The other one is me saying he didn't choose and I have the crown. I take a massive risk if I pick option number 2. This is actually very tricky because I have to take into account more than just, you know, what's the right thing to do, right? Like, what's the truth? The truth is Caridin didn't pick anything. Caridin literally forged it and said, you go choose. Nobody else was there except for the people that are in my party to be able to corroborate that story. So if I decide to say that the crown was forged and I'm deciding, there is a chance that I undercut this entire process. That the dwarves in this assembly would say, you as the Grey Warden do not get to decide, thus the crown is null and void. That's a very real reality here. In some ways, I could absolutely see Harrowmont and Bhelen going in that direction. Well, this guy doesn't get to decide. This elf that showed up out of nowhere gets to decide who the crown is? No way. And we're gonna get clogged in bureaucracy and bullshit. That's my guess, right? So if I lie and say I bear a crown from Paragon Caridin for his chosen king, now I have brought Caridin into this in a way that I have the theoretical support of a paragon, which is not entirely wrong. Caridin did basically say, I endorse whoever you endorse. But this is my way of sidestepping the part that people are going to nitpick that is actually inconsequential to what's about to happen here. So, while we could go with pure truth in number 2, I am not willing to take that risk. I need this shit to end now. I need help fighting the Blight, and we gotta figure out a way to bring the dwarves together on this. So I'm gonna say that Caridin chose his king, because technically he chose whoever I choose.
Caridin was trapped in the body of a god. This warden granted him the mercy he sought, releasing him and destroying the anvil of the void. Before he died, Caridin forged a crown for Orzammar's next king, chosen by the ancestors themselves.
I would like to believe Ogren's word, but it's well known the Grey Warden is Bhelen's hireling.
Silence! This crown is of Paragon make, and bears House Ortan's ancient seal. Tell us, Warden, whom did Caridin choose?
Whoo! Okay, that was close. Ogren, brother, we don't need to over disclose here, my man. Friends, I say this in some ways. I am looking directly at the people in my TikTok comments when I make this analysis here. But Ogren just did something that so many people do, which is they attempt to seize certain moments to give way more information than a moment needs. And you actually can poison the well by doing that. There is real value to only sharing the information that you need to share in a given moment. Ogren took this moment where the spotlight is on us, and he says to himself, "Oh, I have information that other people here don't have." It's this tiny little moment to seize power, to seize the spotlight and go, "I know something you don't know," which is something that gives us a little bit of giddiness and a little bit of power. And so he over discloses the information, which is him relinquishing the power, and it's potentially going to ruin the moment. If Oghren sits there and goes, yeah, and he gave the crown to the Grey Warden to choose, he just completely undercut the process for me. He just completely null and voided everything that I just talked about leading up to this. When you stay silent, people will talk and fill the space and will often get themselves in trouble and will over disclose. You can control how much you disclose, curb how much you disclose. You are not necessarily more impressive to people because you share information they don't have. You can very much make things worse for yourself. So when people pop into my TikTok and spoil shit and give information that we don't have when we make these decisions, you don't look cooler for doing that. We are not impressed by your decision to do that. In reality, all you're doing is just ruining it. Because you have information that other people don't have by virtue of the fact that it's a video game, not that you're smarter. I'm on to you. Oghren was my spoilery TikTok commenters. Right there. Don't be that. Anyway, back to the game. Didn't mean to go meta and break the fourth wall there. Okay. This is a huge moment. I don't know Harrowmont that well. I never got to talk to him. I did get to talk to Bhelen. This is legitimately a not a toss-up, but this has to come down to my judgment call. I have to operate to some extent with known variables, and to some extent, I have to work with some of my hypothesizing. I know I preach all the time, you got to work with as many known variables as you can. There are certainly times where you have to work with unknown variables, and this is one of them. I have to try to take as many factors as I ever had available to me while we walked through the halls of Orzammar, and I have to put them into one very strong decision here. The thing that stands out to me the most in making this decision right now is to some extent what Harrowmont just brought up. Harrowmont said that Bhelen's own father wanted him to swore that he didn't want Bhelen to take over the crown. And I have to ask myself, why would that be? And answering that question, I think, requires us to take into account the dwarven caste system. The king of Orzammar is generally pulled from nobility. For many, 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 many years, Orzammar has clung tightly to tradition. And at this point, tradition isn't cutting it. It's not working. The only people that tradition works for are the nobles. That's it. It maintains the current status quo. A status quo that is causing Orzammar to break apart. So if you're the king and you have benefited very much from the status quo, who would you want to be your successor? Probably somebody who's going to maintain the status quo. Somebody who's not going to rock the boat. Somebody who's palatable to the people that matter, which to the king is the nobility. If the I forget what they're called, the people who aren't even in a caste, the untouchables, so to speak, if they mattered at all to the king, if the lower classes mattered at all, the king would make inroads in those types of relations. The casteless, thank you. The king would make inroads to elevate those people. Bhelen's father did not do that. The king before him did not do that. Bhelen's father continued a social structure that benefited the small minority. So if Harrowmont is somebody who fits that, he would endorse him. Also, there's a chance that maybe Bhelen has some new ideas for how shit can run around here. And maybe that's why the nobles don't like him. There is a chance that that Bhelen represents actual change, which Orzammar is gonna hate. Well, at least the nobility of Orzammar is gonna hate. But the only way that Orzammar comes around is if we have somebody that potentially has new ideas. And I have not had the benefit of talking to Harrowmont up until this point. I don't know that Bhelen is a champion. Nobody is a champion of the downtrodden. I mean, really, Skaga, nobody is a champion of the downtrodden. Nobody's been a champion of the cast, or of the castless. Harrowmont was trying to pay people off. Harrowmont refused to talk to me. All I know is that Bhelen pisses off the nobility. I don't trust option number one. He wished me to give it to whoever I choose is going to create political and diplomatic gridlock. I cannot afford the unknowns here. Because if that sends us into political chaos, I can't afford that. I have to make a choice here. Right? Who did Caridin choose? They don't have to know that Caridin said he didn't want anything to do with this. They don't have to know that. They weren't down there. None of these people made the effort to go down there. This is information that I don't want to disclose. Right? I need these dwarves to believe that Caridin knew what choice he was making, because I need somebody to be on the throne. We just have to have it. I can't be pissing around with more political stuff, as much as I would like to. This would be a beautiful opportunity for me to seize all sorts of power and just get off to the fact that I'm able to make this choice. But I'm not going to do that. This isn't about me. This is about the future of the dwarves. So I'm going to go with Bhelen. And I really hope it pisses off the nobility. And I really hope that maybe there's some change to the system. Based on the information I have, Harrowmont is status quo.
At last, this farce has ended, and I can take my rightful place on my father's throne.
Let the memories find you worthy. First amidst the lords of the houses, the King of Orzammar.
Do you acknowledge me as king?
I cannot defy a paragon. The throne is yours, King Bhelen.
Then as my first act as king, I call for this man's execution. Guards, seize him!
Oh boy. Oh, what have I done? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh God. Oh no. my god! Wow! He's shaking shit up. I can't. And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is I undercut myself. Because I said it was Caridin's choice. I can't say I did not give you that crown so you could be a tyrant, because he's gonna come back at me and say, no, Caridin gave me the crown. I have no power here. Oh no. Wow, man. I mean, I'm gonna just try to say, I mean, I want to know more. Why is he killing him? What did he do? Who are you trying to impress? I mean, that's a hell of a move, okay? Like, it's a hell of a move. So we're gonna talk about this for a second, and I'm gonna try to hit this from as many angles as I can. I don't know what Bhelen knows about Harrowmont. It maybe could be that Harrowmont is legitimately dangerous, but I have to be careful with that concept. I'm not using this conceptualization to try to justify my actions. I don't know that I'm fond of the fact that he just said, as my first act as king, kill my recent political opponent. That is not great. I do not like that. Like, I want to know, if you're doing that, Bhelen, who are you doing that for? Who is that in advocacy of? Because if it's in the advocacy of Bhelen, this is a terrible look. If he turns around before he throws the axe down to behead him, if he turns around and he looks at the camera and he says to all the servants and the castless, this is for you, because this man has fucked you for years. We're turning shit around here in Orzammar. People who screw with the little guy are getting the hammer. This is for you. Nobility, watch yourselves. We're turning this town around. We're equalizing this shit. The land's a little different. If he turns around and he goes, I'm Bhelen, motherfucker, we're in big trouble. When he sent us to execute all those cast lists, we were taking out his rivals then too, in a way, just to consolidate his power base. Yeah. I'm living with the decision here. Before people jump into the YouTube comments and tell me do not comment on what would have happened if I picked Harrowmont. I want to be very clear on this. Do not go into the comments and talk about what would have happened if I picked Harrowmont, because your comment will be removed. We are living with this decision. I made the decision based on the variables I had. Just because you know whether it was the right or wrong decision based on what happens later in this game, that means nothing to me. I made this decision with the information that I had. Oh boy. Let's see if I've got any kind of pull here. He was an honorable rival. Let him retire in peace. Oh.
You know better than anyone the war facing us, Warden. Orzammar cannot afford to be divided. Anyone undermining my reign is serving only the Darkspawn. I will return to my palace to gather my generals and prepare our forces for the surface. I will see you there, Warden. You have my gratitude for all you have done for me.
So you
have proven yourself and more, Warden. Without your aid, I would not have taken this throne so smoothly or so soon.
Congratulations, bravo. Now where are my troops?
My generals are already preparing for a mission to the surface. When you have need of us, you shall have every able-bodied dwarf in Orzammar. Since you did more than I expected, I offer a personal reward as well. This was a mall favored by my brother Trian. Take it with you, as a reminder of your ties to Orzammar. Now, I have much to do. If there is nothing else...
I want my face on one of those big statues. I want to be the first dwarf. Paragon, bitch. You see that big ass crown you got? Put my face on the statue. Mick the elf, savior of Orzammar. And I want it on the bottom, on the little engraved part. I want it to say in big, bold dwarven letters, "This is your daddy." This is your elf daddy. This is daddy now. That's what I want. Least you can do. And I want you to engrave it with the little tip of your crown. You have any idea the onslaught of shit I'm gonna take for the fact that I made this decision? By the way, did you kill Harriman or did you listen to me? Oh my god. I want my face on one of those big statues. You know, I actually believe there is some potential utility to that. I'm making a lot of jokes here. First of all, worst he can say is no. Second of all, let's get some diversity down here, boys. You can work with elves. You can work with humans. People from the surface. We're not all bad. Y'all are here right now because of Daddy Mick. Doctor is short for daddy. I don't know why the R is there. I want my face on a statue.
I'll see what I can do. Now, I must address my other petitioners. Come back and visit sometime.
I'll see what I can do. Okay. All right. Let's read a little more here. He was named King of Orzammar by the Assembly. Oh, boy. Okay. Hey, we could read about the broodmother. Remember that thing? It's well known that the Darkspawn carry off those captured in their raids to underground lairs. Most assume that the prisoners are eaten or somehow tainted and turned into Darkspawn themselves, though this could never account for the sheer numbers of the horde. Forays made by Grey Wardens into the underground have uncovered the answer. When exposed to the Darkspawn taint, men are driven mad and eventually die. Women, however, undergo great pain and gross mutations that cause most of them to perish. Those that survive, however, become the grotesque broodmothers. These giant twisted behemoths birth many darkspawn at a time. A single broodmother can create thousands of darkspawn over the course of her lifetime. Each type of darkspawn is born from a different broodmother. Humans produce Hurlocks, dwarves produce Genlocks, elves give birth to Shrieks, and from Canary are born the ogres. I'd love to unknow that. Brother.
There are people waiting, Warden. I must see to them.
Oh my god. Dude, look out for the little guy, man. That's all I wanted. I just wanted you to be... Oh, look, we got all these... Oh, noble. Okay, we got the nobles are lined up to talk to you.
You will always be remembered as a friend to the kings of Orzammar.
Okie dokie.
King Bhelen will not forget your loyalty.
Okay.
House Idukan thanks you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Your name will not be forgotten.
Alrighty. Well, my face won't either because it's going to be on a statue. King said so. King said he was going to see what he could do. Find your finest smithies.
You're always welcome in King Bhelen's palace.
Thank you.
House Idukan thanks you, Warden.
You're always welcome in King Bhelen's palace.
They're sending the sons of every Harrowmont supporter for some sort of surface war.
Oh my god, are you kidding? Oh my god, Bhelen! Can't wait. Can't wait for the comments on this video. Can't wait.
King Endrin chose Lord Harrowmont, but the ancestors spoke differently.
I don't give a shit right now what the nobles think. I want to go to Dust Town. I want to know. Oh,
Grey
man.
Warden, you have impressed the best of us. If I'd heard it secondhand, I'd have called it a sodding lie. Warden, we've got a king because of you. The rest, impressive, but the Legion is grateful most for restored leadership. It frees us to fight to the Darkspawn properly.
Orzammar's lucky to have you, man.
You'll have us too, indirectly. Our place is here. But when you break the Blight, we'll make sure the Darkspawn have a fine welcome home. It's more guaranteed than any servicer's had.
Is there... There could be merit to them coming topside. I suppose he could say no, that he would rather stay down below, but let me give him maybe a little bit of a nudge to let him know that he's welcome to come up top if he wants to. We need you topside. Show the world your skill.
You alone have the skill to back up your words. Each of the Legion owes our homeland a death, but if our lives are better shed on the surface, so be it. Back to Orzammar when we win, though. I'll not stay topside to lose my stone sense.
Cool. All right. Well, that'll work. Honestly, if that gives them a chance to kind of see what else is out there, I'm okay with that. Wow, Zers.
News of the hour. Supporters of disgraced Lord Harrowmont take to the streets. Pandemonium increases by 10%.
How do you even quantify that? Oh, this pandemonium is 10% more than the other pandemonium was. That's just somebody saying dumb shit to make it seem like they know what they're talking about.
I would not have voted for Bhelen, but I trust my mother's judgment. He may be just what Orzammar needs in these modern times.
I'm really hoping so, let me tell you.
Well, I see what sort of company you've taken up.
Okie dokie, that's a line. Hey folks, how you feeling about Bhelen?
I trust Vala, my nug-wrangling friend.
Have you seen my lunch? It's a piece of lichen bread with a spread of old cheese and shredded dried meat. I'm only asking because you never know who's going to get hungry.
You all right?
Oh, I was hoping you... I had a little incident a few years...
Well, you already told me that.
Then I'm straight as an arrow. Best work I've ever...
Okay. We already talked to that guy about that stuff, so... Not super worried about it. I want to talk to people about the new king. I want to know how people feel about it here. Oh, my Lord. Oh, we got to tell Filda. Oh. We got to decide what to tell her about Ruck.
You've returned. With all the excitement over the new king, I never expected you to remember my poor son. Did you learn anything about my Ruck?
Wow, these options suck. I'm gonna have to just tell her I didn't find anything. I think better off for it. I think that's what Ruck wanted as well. So, your son's a dung-eating lunatic? Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ. Oh, man. I never found anything is not great because that's just going to lead her to want more people to go find him and potentially leads her to have more people pursue him. And if somebody else finds him, I don't know that I can trust them to respect his wishes. So I'm kind of hoping I say you might not want to hear it. I really hope that I am able to lie to her and say he's dead. Yes, but you might not want to hear it.
What is it? Is he dead? Oh, please don't torment me.
God damn it, BioWare. Well, so would it be your right to lie to her? Shouldn't she decide if she wants to know or not? It's more complicated than that. Ruck didn't want us to tell her. So we have a clash of directives, right? We found Ruck, but Ruck was very much like, just don't tell her. Let me just do my thing down here. So at that point, I have to make a determination of what I want to do. One of them breaks a person's boundaries. The other one leaves somebody, yes, in the lurch in terms of a lie, but it's potentially a lie that allows his boundaries to be preserved. So it gets very complicated. Because if she goes down there looking for him, or, you know, he's forced to come back to Orzammar, he could be in real danger being back in Orzammar, right? So weighing these options is very difficult. I tend to go more in line of like, she doesn't know any difference. She doesn't know whether her son is dead or alive. If I tell her that her son is dead, then she has an answer, which is ultimately what she wants, and his boundaries get respected because now she's going to stop looking for him. If I tell her that her son is alive, I have now broken trust with Ruck, and I potentially put him in danger because she may go looking for him. And I've basically violated a boundary because I didn't want to lie to her, which is in direct opposition to his wishes, right? So one of them, they both suck because you have deferring directives. One of them allows things to remain as they are in a way that doesn't rock the boat and break somebody's boundaries. We don't know whether he's too far gone or not. The reality is he was lucid enough to tell us he doesn't want her to know. Right? Like he wasn't a lunatic like what BioWare put in the answer there, right? Like, we don't know what kind of danger he and they would be in, right? There's no good answer here. So again, what a lot of this game brings up, and why I have enjoyed this playthrough immensely, is this game truly does leave you up to make judgment calls in gray areas. And one of the things that I appreciate about the fact that this is a blind run is I don't know what happens with the decisions that I make here. I don't know what happens if I lie to her versus if I don't lie to her, right? I have to make these decisions based on the information I have and what I'm currently processing. Sure, is there a right answer or a better option out there? Sure, but you only figure that out through trial and error by virtue of the fact that it's a video game. Real life, we don't have that opportunity. Real life, I got to make a decision right here on what I want to tell her, right? What I hate is that I can't lie to her now. So now I got to say, right, like everything I just said is pretty much null because I have to say I'm afraid Ruck went crazy after too long in the deep roads. And I fucking hate that that's the option that I have to say.
Crazy? Oh, ancestors, save him. I've heard of this. Lost soldiers turning on each other, eating darkspawn flesh. Is that what happened to my boy? Why didn't you bring him home?
Trust me, he's too far gone to help. Forget him. I don't know that I like that. He's too tainted to come back to Orzammar. Isn't wrong. It's a statement of fact. Or Ruck didn't want you to see him like that. I'm trying to think of, like, what would I say in real life? She asked me this question, is that what happened to my boy? Why didn't you bring him home? He's too dangerous to bring back to Orzammar, and he also did not want to come back. Right? So, I would basically do a hybrid of 2 and 3. Because his decision not to want to come back is... See, okay. Here's why 3 doesn't sit right with me. Here's why number 3 doesn't sit right with me. Because number 3 is Ruck didn't want you to see him like that. That is a true statement. But it is also a statement that she's going to hear differently than how we say it. Because that's Ruck making an assumption about what she is and isn't willing to see. That's Ruck essentially policing her boundaries for her. If the answer was Ruck did not want to come back, Ruck wanted to stay down there, that is a lot more palatable because it is speaking to Ruck's agency, right? Ruck knows that he's not coming back. So to say he didn't want you to see him like that is stripping her autonomy to decide whether she would want to see him like that. If I say it was his choice, it's easier for her to respect that. If I say that one to her, she goes, no, 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 I do want to see him like that. This whole thing's just been blown up. And I wouldn't blame her. I would never blame a mother for wanting to go see their child no matter how maimed they are. No way do I blame her for that. But again, then we're up against Ruck's boundaries, Ruck's wishes. So the better answer here, I think, is for me to say he's too tainted to come back. It's a statement of fact. It doesn't intercept her autonomy. It injects enough of a boundary where she's like, oh shit, okay, well, I could see that being the truth, especially since she told us that she's heard of this before. And she can make her peace with the fact that, like, he's too tainted to come back.
No, there must be a way. If he lives, there's hope. I have to go to him. He needs me. Oh, he must be so frightened out there, so lonely. I thank you for what you've done. Even if you couldn't be bothered with more, take this. It's my husband's masterwork, the first shield he smithed. I was saving it for Ruck, but I want you to have it as my thanks.
And that's precisely why I wanted to lie. I mean, the risk I ran with that is essentially now, because I chalked it up to fact, she's not, God damn it, man. Okay, so this sucks. This really sucks because I didn't get the proper opportunity via the dialogue options to say he has a boundary that you need to respect. Right? The reason she just was willing to go do that is because she didn't have the opportunity to go, oh, Ruck doesn't want me down there. I mean, I could have said he didn't want you to see him like that. But I just really, truly believe that that statement doesn't track. That doesn't present a boundary in the way that Ruck said it. The only way that I could have, I guess, preserved his wishes would have been to say he's dead. You think you could go check on him in the deep road? I don't know. I mean, I suppose I could try it. Come back and see what happens, but it's just really an interesting scenario because it could be that her going down there is the best thing for him. Like, it could be that he has some companionship. If she goes down there and she says, I was warned, I came here on my own volition, I wanted to be with my son, this is a purely autonomous decision, if you want me to leave, I will leave, then okay, you know, like, then fine. If she goes down there and she overdoes it and she just blows past his boundaries, that's not good. Right? If she says, hey, the elf, the warden, he warned me. He said it was too dangerous. He tried to make sure I didn't go down here. Fine. Right? If he gets pissed about it, he's like, I don't want you down here. I don't want you to see me like this. Please leave. It's on them to manage. Right? I told her the truth. It's on theirs. It's theirs to deal with now. I love how such a small side quest can deliver so much gray area. Is it possible that no matter what you would have said, her decision would have been the same? Sure. I mean, I could have said he's dead, and she could have said, well, I'm going to go find his body and bring it back. I mean, I have no idea. She could have made up her mind anyway. If I say, no, I didn't find him, then she's left to be anxious about his whereabouts and send more people down there. There's no way to, like, there's no way that this is hunky-dory. The only way that this is hunky-dory is Ruck was never down in the deep roads and they have a nice mother-son relationship. How does the player handle that sort of secondary responsibility over her safety or choices? Her decision to go down in the deep roads is not my responsibility in any way, shape, or form. I take absolutely zero responsibility for her decision to go do that. The only thing that I'm responsible for is the way in which I deliver that information. She wants to go down in the deep roads and find him and dies along the way. That ain't on me. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I want to see what these folks think about the decision to have Bhelen.
What do you think of that new King Bhelen, huh? Just like any other noble. Wouldn't take the time to spit on the likes of us.
His woman's castless, though, or was. That Rika, remember her? Barat's favorite from way back. And word on the street is he's got no qualms about recruiting brands for his troops. During the Blight, he's going to use whatever Orzammar's got. I could get behind that.
So you're the one who killed Jarvia. Do you know what you've done? Jarvia was no paragon, but she looked after her own. Even the nobles wouldn't cross her. If you think we're gonna let you waltz around like you own the place, you're wrong. For Jarvia, attack!
I get it. I get it. She took care of him, man. I totally understand why they want to fight me. Sucks though, because I know I'm gonna whoop their asses. That's what's disappointing about this. I can understand why they want to fight for her. That sense of loyalty is strong, man. She provided purpose when there was no purpose to be given. So their willingness to die in her name makes sense.
Yes? Why is someone like you hanging about Dusttown so much? Don't fall into the sky when you go back up there.
Want to know more? Why are there not any castless on the streets like there used to be?
You're back. You got more business for me? That's what I thought.
Maybe she would have been a better choice instead of Bhelen, right? It is interesting though that there's a bit of an, I mean, that was as close to an endorsement as we've heard down here. I mean that I think the castless are acknowledged. I don't know if in the right way.
At last, the rightful king is on the throne. In honor of our good King Bhelen, 2 silvers off anything you buy. I'll take your gold. You're good for that.
So servant or merchant class says the rightful king. Interesting. Okay. There's nothing I want.
It's hard to believe we have a king again. I suppose the ancestors truly favor the idea.
So I am led to understand that the sister is a follower of this maker.
Am I the sister? Oh, that's so cute. It's like you're my big brother. Or sister. Or whatever.
I am a creature of stone. I rather doubt that we would be related in any shape or form.
Oh, I didn't mean literally. Don't you think that people can be related in spirit?
I notice that humans tend to believe in a great number of things that are not true, even when given evidence to the contrary.
Believing in things when there is no proof is what faith is all about, Shale.
Believing in things when there is no proof is what gullibility is all about.
So I am gullible now.
I take it we are no longer sisters in spirit.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Good stuff. Oh boy, Harrowmont fanatic. This is gonna go super well.
Bhelen stooges, your sodding pretender will ruin us. For Harrowmont!
You know what? Oh. Oh, your boy's got a little something cooking in the oven here. Hold on. My friends, when Harrowmont even caught a whiff of the fact that we might support Bhelen, you remember what happened when we went up into the Diamond Quarter? We got attacked by Harrowmont fanatics. Now, I'm not saying that Harrowmont just sent them directly to kill me. But it also, he didn't tell them to stop. He's not sitting there going, guys, why don't we chill? Let's make sure this is a fair process. So, while I don't love that Bhelen said, let's kill Harrowmont, Harrowmont didn't exactly go Mr. Pacifist route on political enemies. He went on perceived political enemies. He rallied his base. Those guys don't come and attack me unless they're rallied in some kind of way. Not with as much coordination as they've had. So, Harrowmont's no saint either. And I really do believe that both options probably suck ass. I'm not trying to justify my decision to pick Bhelen because I'm not happy with his behavior after my choice. I am happy to hear that one of the merchants endorses him, that people down in Dusttown aren't opposed. But Harrowmont's no saint here.
Sapio Naidukan is going to lead an army to the surface.
I feel like the proving is such a noble bullshit
There will be
thing.
no new provings until the king announces it.
The king just sent word. For my admirable taste in not supporting my cousin's rebellion, I won't be among those executed.
Oh my god.
This is so exciting.
Must the provings be so violent?
I don't love hearing the word execution thrown around that casually.
We have nothing to talk about, Warden. I haven't done a thing.
Okie dokie. Sounds good.
Ancestors, watch over your path. Ancestors, watch over your path.
I'm gonna take first in the inaugural glory proving.
I am playing this game blind, yes.
Ready for some unofficial training opportunities?
No.
I'll be here.
I knew Bhelen would take the crown.
Do not disturb me. I must meditate before my fight.
No more matches until the new king decrees it.
Long live the rightful king!
All hail King Bhelen.
Okay, you guys got your own cutscene. That's cool.
Go away. I don't talk to admirers until after.
The throne belongs to the Idukans.
Okay, thank you. Well, I don't know that we have much more to talk to here. It's a bit ironic when you think about it. The story has so much nuance and gray area, but then the choices you're given are so binary. Well, ultimately, decisions are always, in some ways, absolute, right? Like, to make a decision is to make a call. And that is not always easy, because we do have to make black and white decisions in gray areas. Right? To not make a decision is to make a decision.
Something the matter? Are you thinking about Branca?
Branca?
You loved her, didn't you? I've seen you some nights, staring off into the distance with such sadness in your eyes. You wonder if you did something that drove her away.
Jesus,
You wonder
she's coming on
if
too
she would
strong
have
here.
stayed if you had done things differently. She must have loved you. Somewhere inside.
That sodding great dew-licker had a heart clad in iron. She had only one love. The anvil. Later, the anvil only sighed because I was gassy. Finally let off a good one. Should be hitting you right about now. Silent killer, huh?
Okie dokie. Liliana coming on a little too strong there. That's a lot of vulnerability to pierce into with very little warning on his behalf. Even if what she said is entirely true, I'm not a fan of the fact that she just slung all that out there. That's actually what a lot of people are afraid that therapists like me do, is that we sit there and just sling interpretations at you like that. It's not how it works. You gotta ease your way into that. You gotta build rapport. You can't just shoot arrows like that into the heart and expect that a person's gonna do well with it. Oghren deflected that. That entire thing was a deflection. Probably because she was onto some bit of truth. And the vulnerability of that is very difficult given that he's brand new to the party. So a great coping mechanism that people will have sometimes to put distance between themselves and the thing that's been brought up, or to divert people away from it, is to use humor. Humor is a very common coping skill. So we could probably hypothesize that what she said is true, although I don't really know the utility in her going there with him. The reality is she may run a real risk in cracking him open a little too much in a way that he's not ready for and really damaging their alliance. So his response there is a way of basically saying, don't go there. I'm not ready for that. Or you're not the right person. She could have very much been self-projecting as well. Yes. She was making a lot of assumptions in there. That is for certain.
So, I have a question for you, dwarf.
Oh, sounds like you're passing a stone there. Get it? Passing a stone?
I do get it, yes. My question is this. Had the Anvil of the Void not been destroyed, does it believe the dwarves would have used it?
You mean to create more golems? Oh, yes. Faster than you could squish a nug.
Even knowing the agony that it caused, they would still inflict it on others?
No need to inflict it. There'd be plenty ready and willing to sign up, just as you did. There's fewer and fewer of us each year, and the Darkspawn never run out. If it meant saving Orzammar, there'd be plenty who'd become a golem, sure.
Does it think it was wrong to destroy the Anvil, then?
No. Sometimes people need to be kept from doing stupid things, even for good reasons.
It is referring to its former wife?
I think some statues should sod off and ask their sodded questions to someone else.
Good boundary.
I trust Vala, Warden.
If only you had come at a less troubled time.
Give me a moment.
Take your time, man.
I feel like I'm about to fall off the world with all that sky up there.
That dude has had stone above him his entire life. So if this is his first time seeing the sky, this is brand new. And if we get into judgment on him because we've seen the sky and we know it's not bad, we are totally missing the mark. This is where it is so important to consider putting yourself in the perspective of somebody else. When we meet new things, when we have big novel experiences, something that's been represented to him as potentially even like dangerous or scary, and he now is experiencing it, having some anxiety with that and being a bit thrown off is completely reasonable, and we would do well to just meet him at that. Good night, Brian. Thank you for the gifted subs, dude. I really appreciate it. So we're just to take your time, man. I need you ready to fight.
If I could fight Randar Volney second after downing 15 lichen ales in half an hour, I'm not gonna be put off by a high sodding ceiling. Well, let's get moving. We're losing, daylight.
I love that he knows that expression. It's pretty funny. All right, friends, we're topside. That was a lot of time in Orzammar, and I really hope that you all enjoyed it. Tonight was a lot of depth, a lot of stuff to go into, a lot that happened. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I hope you did too. If you made it this far, please remember to give a thumbs up and to leave a comment. Again, do not leave any kind of spoiler comments. It's okay if you want to comment on my decision. I totally appreciate and love when people make comments on the decisions I make. I know that they're not always the right one, and that's okay. I want to be very clear that I am fine with the fact that I might make decisions that aren't the best as it relates to the game. Using hindsight to judge the decisions that get made in the game is not fair, and you shouldn't be using hindsight to judge yourself in real life either. You use the information you have to make decisions in a given moment, and you don't have the benefit of knowing what happens ahead of time. So, I don't want to hear about what would happen if I had chosen Harrowmont. I do not want to hear about all other alternative paths. And to answer a question I know I'm inevitably going to get, no, I am not going to go back and then pick Harrowmont and analyze that. The run is the run. If you leave a comment that spoils anything or talks about anything that did not happen and cannot happen going forward, I will remove the comment, and you may also be banned from the channel. I do not appreciate those comments at all, so keep it to yourself. If you need to write it down because you just can't control yourself, write it down in a Word document and don't post it. That said, I really do appreciate your support of my streams. Thank you for taking time out of your day or night to watch through these playthroughs. I'm sure many of you have watched Dragon Age many times before, or maybe it is your first time. Regardless, thanks for giving me a shot. I hope you continue to share my channel with other folks, and I hope you continue to come back and watch these. And if you're binging, I'll see you in part 22.